about what's going on for our Christmas walk.
Christmas holiday, Christmas
This weekend.
holiday, Christmas festival.
Festival, why didn't I look at the paper?
Oh, okay, like it was a Christmas walk, like 20 years ago. Yeah, I know. Okay, then that's okay.
Christmas festival.
Yeah, okay, either way, it's fine, okay. Well, we'll start with that then. I believe that originally, when I moved here back in the Christmas of 2005, we had my husband and I and my daughter moved here. She was just a third grader. And the following year, I was asked to be in this parade in the town. And Mickey Ketting, who was the Foundation for the Preservation of St. Genevieve, yes. And she wore her little costume, you know, her historic costume. She sat on the back of my BMW red convertible. I drove through the town and thought, oh, this is really cute and charming, you know, and this is what I thought. Well, then within several months, the person who was in charge of this event calls me and said, can you line up this parade this year? And I said, well, I think I could probably line up a parade. It's no big deal, you know. So, you know. So, in the interim, it was a lot more than a parade. Okay, so the parade thing that wasn't a big deal. It was just everything else involved. Okay, because at the time, I realized that the only advertising that was being done was through the Welcome Center, but it wasn't paid advertising. It was more like whatever we could do, you know, for free and that sort of thing. Not most respectfully speaking, I'll make it real clear, okay? Back then I think we were called the Rivertown Interpretive Center, okay? Now we're the Welcome Center, and now we're a state park, and things are a lot different, okay? Okay, very much different, okay. So, we were looking through this, and I had put together a little committee at the time, and a gentleman by the name of Mr. John Wibbenmeyer. Yeah. Okay, he was the former municipal band director, I believe, and also the music director at the St. Genevieve High School. Yes. I kept calling him up and asking him questions. What should I do here? What should I do there? And I said, why don't you come to a meeting? And so he came, and so then we had this. We just started meeting every week, you know, and so he did help me quite a bit. I get that very, very clear because he was very knowledgeable. Okay. So, but as we were just trying to plan the parade and, you know, do all this stuff, and finally, like at one point, he's like, and he was head of the immunity bid. This is what's funny. We're looking through this, and then we didn't have this kind of program either back then. It was like a piece of paper, you know. Yes. So anyway, exactly. It was a piece of paper, and then you'd open it up, and it says, "Oh, this is at 3 o'clock on Sunday, but this is at 2 o'clock on Saturday on the other side." You know, everything was like kind of disarrayed.
Kind of haphazard.
You know, but it was real charming. I'll get that real clear. Okay, but so he looks through it and says, "Oh man, we got to do the entertainment." But he was the entertainment. And that was really funny. You know, it was funny, I know. So and then, you know, because back then they would have the festival make these homemade wreaths for the historic sites. Mm-hmm. Well, we couldn't make the wreaths because we had no chicken wire. The chicken wire was about $285. And we were like looking at this, oh, wow, how are we going to buy this chicken wire, you know? So I said, I've got an idea. So I just started going through town, you know, and asked the little shop owners and the businesses, and local businesses. I told them, we can't afford our chicken wire. So it's really, I said, you can't afford to buy chicken wire. Can you, you know, donate $25? So they did. Well,
oh, Annette. I never heard that.
I know. So we got the almost $285 because, you know, with tax and everything, right. I might have been a little more, but we had a few $100s left over because I think I ended up collecting around $750 to $775 wow. that week. Yes. Great. So with the that was, I think that might have been this. No, the first year we got through the entertainment thing. That was okay. Year one. Okay, the next year was the chicken wire. Okay, so and so I hired. No, I did that the first year. I did. I went ahead and hired at the locations locally. I thought, well, I looked at this and I realized that we had some money left over, and I called down to SEMO, Southeast Missouri State University at the time, and I wanted to hire some little student musicians. Like I needed like a couple of violinists and a cellist, and I had them perform Baroque music at the historic sites. I had, and so not just the historic sites, but on Sunday I hired a girl named Megan. Now it's Hot House. Back then she was Megan Thompson. She's been with us all these years. Okay, she was a child back then, but now she's a married lady with 2 children and quite successful. Okay, and but they came up and they performed classical music. Well, then the next year I realized, it bothered me because I thought we had these big gaps in the event. Like I've kept everything on this event. I get that very clear since what happened. I believe it was 1985 when it was originally called the Country Christmas Walk. Okay, and I've kept everything to my that was on there. The chanteurs. We no longer have the petite chanteurs, but we have chanteurs. We have the French singers, which is Bill and Patty Nager.
Oh, yes,
Okay, yes. Okay, we do that at the Christmas tree lighting. Have the madrigal singers still. And the municipal band. Okay, but back then, along with the swing choir that I think performed on Saturday at noon after the parade at the Oris, that was all that was there. And there were these, like I said, you had this parade, and then you had this big old piece of paper. Okay, a piece of paper, that's what it was. And, everything was put on there just, because they might say carolers. And then they'll say it again, carolers, and then say it again, carolers. But everything is still there because I did look on it. I was looking through the programs yesterday, and I thought, well, that was charming. But at night, then I think on Saturday night they originally had a reception at the Guyboard Valley House. And they served wassail and cookies, and they had one at the Bolduc House, the Bolducs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And they had they had the little Christmas trees,
Right.
All the little, they had like, I think 7 decorated Christmas trees when I was there. And then the chanteurs would come back and sing, and it was charming. And what else did they have?
The Valley House.
The Valley House. And so, so they had a few things going on, but everything was at 6 o'clock, and by then, I remember it was the first year I did that, and I came here, I thought, oh, this is charming, but at the time, I thought, once I took it over, I thought it needed more.
Yeah.
I did think that, but I thought it was very, very charming. I'll get that very, very above average clear. Okay, so anyway, so I thought I could make it a destination, okay? And that was my ultimate goal, was to make this a primary event on everyone in St. Genevieve's agenda every year, but not just St. Genevieve, but within an hour-and-a-half radius away.
Right.
And so, like, I started working through, and not only did I have the Baroque violinist that I hired, I thought she was quite gifted, and I asked her to put together a string quartet, and then everything just started taking off, And so I got into, like, not just a string quartet, but through my studies, I've always understood Baroque, classic period, romantic period, and impressionistic period music to be the basis of all Western music, all music of the Western world, okay? So I wanted all those incorporated on an annual basis because that's what is special and is unique. And our culture, our little town, our special, beautiful place has gone through all those periods together as a family, okay? And then everything else kind of built on it. So all the other musicians that came in, I thought we could do kind of a music festival, but I didn't call it music festival because then you'll be very limited.
Right.
And that was why, okay? So, like, the word holiday, of course, means, a weekend away in the country, or it means a special occasion, but it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different types of people. So we live only an hour from the city, so that would be a nice holiday for them. Or to us, in our community, it's our special occasion, And so, and then Christmas is strictly Christmas. And the festival covers a lot of areas too. Besides music, it could be a number of different types of situations. Like currently, we also have on the program, we've added for the last, last year, of course, during the COVID, a lot of things were like a blank space, you know.
Right.
But we still follow through. I'll get to that in a
Right.
second. You know, but the the La Ravillon, which has always been, well, I guess for quite some time, they used to have their event, which is the French Christmas celebration. Yes, okay. And they used to do it like the weekend after the Christmas festival, which back then was called the Country Christmas Walk. And I was a couple of years ago, they asked to be on our program, and I said, sure, that'd be great. We'd love to have you, you know. And the director told me that they had more business that year than in all the years she's been the director, or even when she was like the assistant director, you know, in that one weekend. And not only, okay, they get a large traffic flow, but it offers a lot to people from out of town. You know, people who live here, you know, we maybe they're accustomed to this. You know, I'm using, like, if I were talking third person, okay? So they think, oh, it's the La Ravillon. But people who aren't from here, even if they're from Perryville, it's really special. It's a wonderful event, okay? So what that is, from Saturday from 2 to 6 on December 4th, they will have period costumes like reenactors, and they have the 12 days of Christmas set up on their dining table, all the food that you would eat throughout that day, or throughout the 12 days of Christmas, actually. And then they'll have a hammered dulcimer player performing music from the 1700s and 1800s. And so, and then afterwards, the enactors sit down and eat the meal. So, it's actually the people who work with that organization, okay? And it's a great bunch of people. So we'll have that particular French, you know, to our heritage. Jeff Guillermo, who is the director of the executive director of the French Colonial American Executive Director, will portray Pierre Sebastian Mueller in a first-person program that explores the importance of faith in the 18th century French colonial communities of Upper Louisiana and the intersection of European and Native American spirituality. And it's at the Center for the French Colonial Life. He was supposed to do that last year, but he got COVID. And so, but he's back this year, and he's back, okay, and that's good, he's back.
That's the good thing.
You know, that's the good thing, okay. So I'm really excited about that because Bob Mueller, who has been performing with us for years and years, will be back also, and it's a good compliment. At 4 o'clock, he will be doing lectures on 18th century St. Genevieve and 19th century French St. Genevieve and 19th century German Christmas at the Dr. Shaw House, which is a nice complement to that situation. We will also have a free demonstration on the filigree, you know, some things that you would do in that period of time. This is more for historical type people, because that's going to be a certain group that will come here also. Then you'll have the people who come for the free hot dogs. You know, and I'll get into that just a second. I'll tell you about that too. Okay, we'll go to the hot dogs. Okay, so I did this the first year, and we got the parade off. Okay, because we didn't I don't think we did the cellos. That was the second year. The first year was, oh no, we've got to have entertainment. Okay, that was the first year. So it was really hard to get this together. And I thought, if I'm going to work this hard, this has to be more. Okay, and so, because it's a lot of work, a lot of time. And so the next year, that's when we got the cellos. But I also realized the first year, so that on year 2, because I've been doing this since 2007, but it's my 15th celebration. And so, anyway, so the second year we got, I went to the Lions Club, and I've gone to several of their events, and I've always thought they were just endearing, charming, and inviting, and represent a strong community environment. And so I asked them to serve hot dogs and chili and stuff like that, and for local people who have lots of children, because this is a Catholic community, and a lot of people have a lot of kids, and it's really expensive to go out to lunch after a parade and spend $150, you know, because it really, you know, sinks into your budget, okay? And so they did that. And so a gentleman went up to one of the lions and said, "This is so magnificent. I could never even come to a parade because I couldn't feed my family." And so the next year, the lions started serving a free lunch, never pass up a free lunch.
Right.
But anyway,
Right.
so but a free lunch, meaning a hot dog, a bag of chips, and a bottle of water to every child 12 and under. And they are still doing that. And they redline that as a community event. I get that real clear. I have to pay the highest regard for them because they, as a rule, make a lot of money at their events, but they serve no alcohol at this event. And they serve their food, half their food is free, over half, because they serve it to all those children. So it's just a community endeavor that they do. And they will have, like, Vernon Flea, he's a local traditional country western musician, will perform there. We'll have the shuttle rides back. They were gone last year, but they'll be back every 15 minutes going to the historic district. And then also, I've hired this year a magician, Bruce Divig, and he's a renowned musician. He has done over 1,000 shows, and he will perform there for an hour and then go up to the Museum of Learning.
Oh.
And he'll be doing an illusionist show up there. So that's really new this year for the children.
Right.
So, because I try to make sure the children, the readers are back, the library readers are back with the
Okay.
children's books. So, we have to have the magic for the children
Right.
too. But at 1 o'clock, meanwhile, we do start all the shows, starting at 1 o'clock. We have, besides the magician show, I'll have multiple shows going on. At the Catholic Church, we have the Southeast Missouri Chamber concert. We have 2 different shows, one at 1, one at 2. At the Music, Art, Love, we will have the Isaac LaSalle Trio. I will interject, that's the one show that one of the trio members does have kind of a high-risk thing, and so that's the only show that masks are required out of the whole event.
Yeah.
And we understand what happened to Colin Powell, so I've addressed this issue, and I will take a regard for and respect for that gentleman. And so that will go on from 1 and then 2, and then Gary Huggins, he's like a contemporary jazz saxophonist. He'll be performing the Baptiste Home, just a lot of stuff. Of course, Stormy Bennett's back again this year.
Is he?
That's Chief Bennett's dad,
Yes.
and he's
amazing.
and he's nice.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, he is.
I didn't even know he wasn't getting paid for years, and I thought,
Yeah.
I didn't even back pay, but I started paying him.
Yeah.
So I did. I felt bad. He's a great guy, and he's
He
a great performer. He really is.
A wonderful.
He's got a really strong following. I will say, back in 2013, during those blizzards we had, he's the only one that had really anybody show up, and he had like about 40 or 50 people show up
Right.
for his performance. Everybody else had, my husband and myself, and
Right.
Toby Carrick, the former editor of the newspaper. That was it.
So is Mark gonna be that energetic? Has he, Mark?
Mark Evans.
Yeah.
Oh, he's lovely. He's
Yes.
wonderful. Yeah,
He
and he's so enthused, and
Yes.
he does
He's a
everything.
good
Yeah,
guy.
I
Yeah.
really think he's
Really
wonderful. I do.
He is.
He's a
yeah.
great guy, and we're real lucky to have him. And
Right.
so I feel very fortunate to have him also.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was like, 2013, that was a bad year. We won't talk about that. Like, it was like, what Toby put in the newspaper, it went from, the crowds went from thousands to dozens. I thought, dozens? You mean 12? That's what I thought. It was horrible. Remember that year with all those blizzards?
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
It
I
was
remember
horrible,
that. Yes.
and it was just. And
Yes.
the one thing I'll say, as far as a really great thing that happened, all the advertisers, we spent a lot of money that we'd advertised with. They ran the ads for free the next week because they said that it wasn't our fault what happened, and they wanted to help us. And I thought that was extremely kind. But then it snowed again. It's like it wouldn't stop, going on and on and on.
That's a year we had snow for a month,
Months. It was like
Yes.
6 months. It went on and on and on.
and the big
Yes.
pile out in the shopping center.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it was awful. Remember how horrible it was?
Oh, yeah.
And so, but we're over that, you know, we had to think, it might happen again, no, so
Right.
gotta think that in the future type thing.
Right.
But, yeah, it was like, another thing new this year, okay, that we have, okay. The Art Guild did not do a reception last year, but they were open for their Christmas show.
Right.
But they are doing a reception again this year,
Right.
along with the Keyboard House, okay? But the Art Guild new this year, I've hired a romantic period cellist to perform at the reception. And so at the same time, across the street at the Keyboard House, we'll have Megan Hothouse. She's will be performing Baroque period music.
Oh, okay.
And so it kind of complements each other. It's after the classical organ concert at the Catholic Church, you know, with Matt Kalish. He's the professor of organ down at SEMO. And then Rosie and Sam Huey will be performing down Academy Hill. They have a band, you know, and they also have like a fiddle player with them, too.
Right.
You know, it's really
Yes,
wonderful. It's
yes.
called alternative country music. You know, you have the
Oh, okay.
traditional, and then you have the alternative,
Okay.
different genres of music,
Right.
just like they have different genres of classical music. Okay, and so they'll be down at Music Art Love at 4 o'clock. So you have like 3 kind of receptions going on at 4 o'clock. Stormy Bennett will be performing at 3 to 5 at the Auras. We have a lot of stuff going on. What else? Here we have this. I'm trying to go through the new things. We'll have the Christmas tree lighting, of course, that's not new, but, we'll get back this year, the Madrigal Singers, because they didn't come last year because of the COVID, okay? But it was reasonable, okay? We have to understand these things.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and then the live nativity scene will be back at the Presbyterian Church. Sunday, I'm trying to think what do we have, new Sunday, back. And so it's kind of new because they've been gone for a long time, is the Southeast Missouri State University Steel Drum Band. They'll be doing a lot of Caribbean-type music with their steel drums and Christmas tunes. And that will be at the Dubourg Center at,
Oh, okay, the diverse.
do you see, yeah, it's 1:30 to 2:15, and then 2:30 to 3:15. At 3 o'clock, new also this year, I have a Celtic harpist. I've had various types of harpists in the past. I've had, you know, like hard rock harpist and classical this one's a Celtic harpist, okay?
Oh, my goodness.
And she was also a professor of harp down at SEMO, okay? But she is trained as a Celtic harpist.
Okay.
And she'll be at the Catholic Church from 3 to 4. And then, of course, we'll have the wind ensemble, our magnificent wind ensemble, on Saturday at 4, you know, as usual. All day, Saturday and Sunday, the Art Guild show will be going on. It's a really great event. Trying to think if there's any more historical funny things, you know, that have happened in the past.
Right.
You know, like, well, we got this thing to go, you know, people started coming, or like, wow, people are showing up now, you know. I think the first year, I did all this work, and I was
Right.
like, there could be a lot more people here,
Right.
you know, a lot more, because you know, for how much work was involved,
That's
it
a
needed
lot
to
of
be
work.
a lot more work, a lot more people. So, it has become now a destination for a lot of people, not just for our community, our beautiful, magnificent community, I
Right.
always say that,
Right.
but for Perryville, you know, Randolph County and Perry and Jackson County over in Illinois.
Right.
Carbondale
Right.
people come up for it. You know, we reach about at least an hour and a half radius of people that come every year, down to Cape Girardeau,
Really?
Sykeston.
Yeah.
And then I don't advertise so much north of Arnold, but we pass our programs out every year, you know, in South St. Louis and Kirkwood, and and then also in St. Charles, and
Oh,
then
yes,
Central
St.
West
Charles.
End and Cherokee Street. And I usually we'll get a couple of stacks out in Clayton and Ladue. And so it's just people look at that and say, oh, I think I might go to this.
Right.
But they go every year because we go to the same places to drop the programs off.
Right.
Because one year I had a big group of people from St. Charles. I said, now we don't advertise there. How did you find out about this event? Well, my friend goes to such and such church. We drop these off at churches
Oh,
a lot.
okay.
And every year we have them pick up a program for us. And so they come every year.
Okay.
And then we have another couple that comes every year from Colorado. and I have a group of ladies that come up here, not I, but a
Right,
group of
right.
ladies come up every year from Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh,
Oh,
my
my.
goodness.
Yeah, they have family in Farmington, but they make
Uh-huh.
a point to come that weekend because they come to this event.
Oh, my goodness.
And so, it's real fun. I mean, it's a magical weekend. You have to go to the parade because it's lots of
Right.
fun. It is. It's
Right.
fun. But then all the shows and things that are afterwards, it's like we have a lot for the children. And the way I figure, after, an all-day thing for kids would be kids over 8, okay?
Right.
And so, like if it's under 8, it goes to like 4 o'clock, and then you want to take them home and rest,
Right.
then they can come back to the tree trimming, But other than that, things are going on all day, both Saturday and Sunday. So it's a great event.
It's a good one, yes. That's
So are there any questions?
If anyone out there watching has any questions, feel free to call. The number is 883-7675, and it's on the screen. So you can give us a call live here on the show and ask any question that you would want to.
Also, they can also look at visitstgen.com if they want more
okay.
information, or they can call the Welcome Center at 1-800-373-7077. I
And-
do want to point out, Santa is not wearing a mask this year. Okay, and
Oh,
he's looking
my
at you and saying,
goodness.
peekaboo, we're back.
Big-
Oh,
Okay, that's what he's
Oh, that's
saying.
awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, well, thanks so much, okay?
Yeah, so there's really a full schedule for the weekend, and that's
Mhm.
so nice. Yeah.
Oh, it is, and our guild show, I already mentioned that, okay, because I
Right,
was looking
yeah.
at Iris,
Right.
the art guild, for a
Right.
second. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, I gotta let them know, that
Yeah,
I go
and
pay
the-
my respects to
yeah.
you, so anyway.
And also, I don't remember which weekend it is, but they have the church tour. I think that might be the the 16th. I think, and I think it's the 15th and 16th. They have the church tour.
Oh,
And somebody told me today that, which church is it?
Holy Cross Lutheran,
The Lutheran church
it's
is
gonna be on the,
participating.
yeah,
Yes,
it's a really,
yes.
they're in with all the churches in Missouri.
Yeah, and that.
It's one of the country churches, a
right.
real charming little
Right.
place.
Yeah.
It is, and it's really worth seeing, it's a beautiful church.
It is
Oh,
a
yeah.
beautiful church.
I try to make sure, because we have performances at our historic churches,
Mhm.
because I think it's to make sure that people can see how beautiful they are,
Right.
because they're so worth seeing.
And
They're
those
just exquisite.
are really wooden statues, wooden carved statues at the
Oh, now,
Lutheran church. I
that
mean, at
church,
the Lutheran church
Mhm.
has,
their alls were actually, they bought that altar back in the 50s, actually.
They
It's
did.
really old.
It
It's from
is.
the early 1700s.
Right.
It's almost as old as St. Genevieve, and it was hand carved in Italy.
right.
But Chester, their Lutheran church, over there, I think it's St. John's in Chester, was back in the 50s, people modernized
Right,
everything,
right.
that 50s stuff. And they were modernizing their church and didn't want it anymore. So St. Genevieve bought it and brought it over here. And
Right.
it's really
It's
fantastic.
beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And
in
they
fact,
changed the entrance to the church and put where the front door was, where you
Mhm,
went in.
mhm.
They put the altar there, and now you go in off
on
of,
the side.
on the
Oh.
side
The
door.
reason that was is
Yeah.
because the church was built a long, long time ago
Mhm.
as a tiny country church,
Right,
okay? And
yeah.
so the altar used to be at the other end, but they didn't have that whole building in the back, which is the narthex,
Right.
and the basement, and the kitchen, and the Sunday school rooms, everything you have. It used to
Right,
be a country church.
Right.
And so they had no alternative, actually,
Right.
to enlarge, go with the times to make it work. But it's a beautiful place. We have on Saturday at that church, at 1 to 3, the Southeast Missouri Chamber Choir will be doing classic period music and romantic period music, Austro-German music.
Oh.
Beethoven, Wagner, some Bach. It'll be the end of the Baroque period, but a lot of beautiful violin music and Christmas tunes. And it's a wonderful show because they get standing ovations every year.
And the acoustics and all.
Well, it works because
because
that would be chamber music, the chamber. Just like at the harp, you want the harp in that big church because it goes through all the
Oh,
windows and you can,
oh,
sounds
my
like
gosh.
angels,
Right.
and
Oh,
so,
oh, my
so
God.
there's different reasons that were chosen. And then Sunday at the Lutheran church, Isaac LaSalle, Dr. LaSalle, he'll be performing, doing 500 years of classical music in the French, German, Italian, English, and American. And and he does a fabulous job. He brings his lute, and he is the head of the classical guitar division down at SIU Carbondale. And before he performs, he said, this song was, as you know it, was famous in, say, 1883. And he said, and you know it as such, and it sounds famous. And he said, but actually, it's a remake of a song that was done in 1743. And it was called, back in 1743, This. And it was played with a lute. And then he'll get his lute out, and, you know, and so you actually get an education by just watching the gentleman. He's quite brilliant. And so, so that's on Sunday. Then at the Catholic Church, again, that's another beautiful church, because I really think it's as beautiful as any church in any major city I've ever been, including in Europe. You know, I think it's exquisite. And so, like on Saturday at 1 to 3, we have 2 different concerts with the Chamber Choir, Southeast Missouri Chamber Choir, and then the pipe organ concert will be there with Matt Palish. He's been here now for several years after Al Kaiser retired. I want to pay my respects to Al Kaiser too. We all know him in our community, and he is a great man. And I remember when Matt Palish first took over, after Al retired, and Matt is quite renowned at what he does too, and he's the director of, you know, like he's a pipe organ professor down at SEMO. And Al came to the performance, and he looked at him and said, the great Al Kaiser. You know, because Al, we don't understand how renowned and respected he is, because, you know, we might not read, we don't know enough about his profession, but in his field, he is so renowned and so respected that everybody in Missouri who's into pipe organs knows and respects this man. So I want to pay the highest regard to him, okay?
Right.
So, so Matt will be there on Saturday, and then on Sunday, again, they'll, at the DeBorg Center is the steel drum band at 1:30 to 3:15, 2 different concerts, 2 concerts. And then at 3 to 4 is the Celtic Harpist, which is Chatty Freewald, and 4 to 5 is the Symphonic Wind Ensemble. So we take full advantage of the beautiful churches, because people need to see this and experience the magnificence.
Exactly.
They're magnificent.
Yes.
And it's a part of our culture. Both those churches are very old and very, very respected. And two of the older churches in our region. West of the Mississippi. Yeah, I know. So, it's a great event. I mean, every year I think, oh gosh, I mean, I was really glad we stuck it out and did it during the COVID, and had to follow all these rules. My husband and I had gone down to Branson, and I realized that if we followed every rule, we could pull this off. Because we went to Branson, and the crowds were kind of halved, but they were, you know, and like they'd have every other row, and then you'd have a family of 4, and then 8 feet later, a family of 5, 8 feet later, and then skip a row, and do the same thing. So I followed that concept, and we didn't throw candy, because we thought, you can't throw candy because 5 kids from 5 families are going to pick up 1 piece of candy, and then you got, you know, 30 people with COVID, you know, so we just did not do that. And in the newspaper this week, there's a picture of a couple of Women's Club members, because all the candy, they donated a lot, but all the candy that people bought, they gave to the GFWC, St. Genevieve Women's Club, and everyone bagged it up and went over there and passed out 600 bags of candy, with everyone wearing a mask and standing a proper distance apart. The Lions, reasonably so, decorated the park, had Santa Mrs. Claus with a glass thing, and Vernon Fleet, but he was way over there, 100 feet away from everyone, performed. But they decided not to do the hot dogs, and very respectably, reasonably so, and it was a quality control issue, you know, because we're afraid it would be too mobbed. And so we passed out to everyone who got a free photo with Santa, got a Happy Meal from McDonald's. So they still got a free meal, okay?
Yes, it
and so, it came off without, I can't say without a hitch. It was really hard. The point was, you know, at the time I thought, if I knew I had to go through this, I wouldn't have done this, but I'm glad I did, because it was, you know, I'm afraid if I took off a year, I might not be back. back, you know, I might say,
Right.
you know, it's time to
And the parade was
pass the
wonderful,
gavel
too.
over, you know, so anyway,
Right.
yeah. But, oh yeah, and the parade, Mary Beth Ferguson, for, people in Perryville and Chester, Mary Beth Ferguson, we all know her here. Okay, so
Yes.
anyway, but, and we all adore her,
We love
but,
her.
she said, wow, she said, I thought 15 people would be at that parade, it was the best one we've ever had, you know?
It was so crowded because everybody wanted to get out.
Oh, yes.
And
Oh, yes.
everyone wore a mask, you know,
Mhm.
and they all like tried to stand appropriately away from each other. It was all about respect.
Right.
So I think last year was a really good year because we learned so much just about. Uh, I feel like if you had to be in a quarantine, St. Genevieve was really the place to be
Right.
Right.
because there was such respect amongst our neighbors and friends and everywhere we went was just everyone was trying to be so respectful of each other. So that came out because of respect. You know, everyone respected each other. We all just wanted to have a happy time to follow the rules. So it came out.
You know, and you know, you know, when they told you you couldn't be around or whatever, everybody stayed home more. You know, I know a lot of them that said, oh, I got more things done, I got more cleaning done, or I got more whatever done, or, you know, just different things like that, but that's exactly what it was. The
Oh yeah, it
respect.
changed everybody's brain. Now we're changing to a different subject, but it did
Right.
change
No,
everybody's
but
brain for
right.
the better.
Right.
It's unfortunate what happened to so many people and their
Right,
families were
exactly.
devastated, but on a different level, my experience, I can't say that for everyone, was overall a better experience. You know, as far as staying at home and being instructed in the home.
Right.
You know, I now keep 35, 40 prepared meals in my freezer at all times. You know, I don't take a
Look
chance
at
of not having
her.
something to eat. You know,
Isn't that true?
I know, and so I mean, it just changed everybody's brain for the better. I think you know everyone's mind is now not well from my experience. I
Right.
can't say everyone. It's gone back like to another time
Right.
that is a lot more innocent. You know,
And when you go in the stores and see the shelves that really, really are empty, that's,
I think that's what I, a couple of times when I first went in the stores, after all this was over and people were going in, you know how they have like kiosks, like in the mall, kiosks all the way down and none, there was none there, and then
no
this,
bread, no
no,
potatoes,
no
rice.
toilet
Yeah.
paper.
No toiletries, you know. You could even buy, like if you had false nails and there's no nail glue,
Right,
you know,
right.
that stuff dye the gray hair. You
Right,
know,
oh,
gray
yes,
stuff,
and
none of
that's
that.
it.
You know, it was
and so many
scary. Now
people
that's
let their
scary.
hair.
That's scary, girl, I'm telling you, right.
But,
We were all gonna look like Santa Claus.
Yeah, and so
Mrs.
many people
Claus.
did let their hair grow
Yeah.
out and grow gray
Well,
Oh,
during
I know.
that.
I
I
never
know,
got
a lot
that
of people
brave.
did. They said, well, I just, after it started happening, I thought, oh, the heck with it. You know,
Right.
they're like, oh, they're not
Right.
going to do that anymore.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was
I remember
an eye-opener.
the year that you were talking about with all the snow and when they canceled everything.
Everything.
Well, the only thing that wasn't canceled was, that was our first Christmas, Christmas fair.
At the park.
At the youth building or at the park, in the park.
And,
And-
the
and-
rides were wonderful.
Yes,
with
and the
kids.
fun,
Oh, I think I went to that. It was
well,
really
the
charming.
fun part about it was, that morning, three of us were on the phone, almost 2 hours. Everybody was canceling, and I don't know how many people were calling us, are you having it, are you having it? Well, everybody's canceling. I said, well, if they're canceling, why would we have it? But then we were thinking, oh my gosh, we have everything set up. We had, the animals and the sleigh ride. The animals from, am I awful? I'm petting you. Am I awful? I can't remember. But anyway, they did come in, and then, was it Mary Lou that had the sled?
I don't remember who it was.
Mary
but-
Lou, anyway, had the sled, and it was, and she had it with the horses, and here they were given rides that day. We had kids, we had Santa, we had, down in the, actually somebody gave us some, plastic wrap to do the barn down there. So we did all that, and it was fine, except, and then we had, wood, heater on there. And, with all that snow and ice we had, well, then guess what? It started melting. And then it was all going in that thing. And then the people were down there. It just got cold. It just couldn't keep up with the
Right.
heat.
That was too
So the
cold.
vendors, they pretty well ended up having to leave. But as we were doing this, we had this.
But you did give up, that's what's good.
Oh, no, we
Yeah.
didn't give up. We had it.
You
And the
can't
sleigh
give
rides,
up,
and
you
I
know?
told.
The sleigh
I
rides
think
were
it
the
was
most
very- Oh,
popular,
yes.
yeah.
And I told her, I said, Mary Lou, I'll never be able, my dream was to go somewhere on a sleigh ride. In the winter, you see these Christmas shows, all this.
Oh,
but-
yeah, a
and my
White
dream-
Christmas and
yes.
Holiday Inn
And
and all those
so,
things.
anyway, I told her, I said, don't stop before I get one of those rides. So she came and she said, hey, it's getting late. She said, I'm gonna have to be, and I think it's supposed to snow, and we're gonna have to do one more ride. So several of us got in, we got in, and I tell you, I know God did this, He did this. Anyway, it was just starting to get a little dark, and so we come out of the youth, or the fairgrounds, and we were going up through the park. And then what we wanted to do was put lights on those buildings. Well, we just couldn't do all that. But anyway, we got up there, and as we were going into the park, I'm not lying, you guys, you know how like a snowy night looks?
Beautiful.
And here comes the
The
snow.
snow, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I know, I thanked him. I said, God, thank you. I know you heard me. I know he heard me. So anyway, we didn't get to take the full ride because she was afraid it was going to get too slick for the horses. So we went through the park and came back down. And even though that's the way it happened, it was on the inside. But let me tell you, there were kids up there. So that was the main thing. We had Santa and the kids, and we had hamburgers and hot dogs.
But it was still special.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was, because
beautiful.
like, well, I will say my friend Judy Gustafson and her husband
Yes,
Bob, like,
Judy.
yeah, you know Judy. And so, because she's my contemporary, and we work together,
Oh, okay.
a lot, and both in the Women's Club, and she's on my committee, and we do a lot together. And so, anyway, Bob and Judy were at a lot of the stuff too. So I will say, when we went to the string quartet, it was Judy and Bob and my husband and I, Frank, and Toby. Okay, so anyway, so we had 5 at that way, So anyway.
Oh, good old Toby.
And then Megan, Hot House came up, and I can make this funny, but it was really traumatic at the time. Because, what happened was, I was going to have Lindenwood perform that particular year, because in the past, well, for a few years, we'd had their a cappella singers here.
Right.
And so that year, I thought, well, I'll try their string quartet this year and see what they're like,
Okay.
And so the director of music called me up and said that the president of the university forbade the bus to come south.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And reasonably so,
Right.
okay. And so, because I had musicians down from Carbondale saying, I'll come up if you say the get-go. I said, well, no. I said, I've been responsible for that, So I said, just don't bother, But Megan, because she was on a main highway, was coming up, and because I knew the Carbondale people were going to have to go through Route 3. I didn't know what that was going to be like, but I knew 55 was going to be fine. So anyway, because it was so short notice, like you had 3 days. So we couldn't do a quartet, so we did a trio, and she couldn't get enough musicians together, but she found a girl, because I think at the time she was getting her master's at SIU Carbondale, but she's just got out of SEMO, so she still knew a lot of people at SEMO. So now she has moved on. She's used to be, when she was a symphony performer down at Paducah for a long time, as well as being the orchestra director at Sykeston. And now she's director of music for the Center of the Arts in St. Louis. She's got a real good promotion. And so, but anyway, she found a chemistry major with a music minor. So it's hilarious. She's playing the cello, and she goes like this. And her wand goes,
Oh, my God.
she had to go pick it up. It was hilarious.
Oh, my God.
Yes. And all you could do thanked her for coming and putting this group together, because it was real impromptu, and she said, "Oh, don't worry, I love to perform. It's more fun to perform in front of people, but it was still fun."
Oh, my gosh.
It's hysterical.
Oh, my gosh, that's funny.
So all you can do is make light of things.
Right,
Exactly,
right,
you gotta make the best of
absolutely.
what happens.
But you know what? I'm going to have to let you
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
all
that's
have a
fine.
wonderful
Thank you.
evening, and I
Yes.
really enjoyed being here, and
Well,
thank you all
you
for
so much
having
for
me.
So
coming,
much for
yeah.
being here.
And I enjoyed everyone's
Everybody,
company.
make sure you come to the
Oh,
37th.
here it is.
Yeah.
This is our event, okay?
Yes, yes.
And
you
it's
can go
ours
to the
and-
Welcome Center and different places around town.
Yeah,
and
we, at
pick
the
up
Welcome
brochures.
Center, Rosier's Country Mart, almost every business in town. And then we also, like I said, visitstgen.com, because you can always get it off
Right.
visitstgen.com.
Okay.
And it will be in the newspaper also,
Yes.
before the
Okay.
event, okay?
Right.
The entire program, so you can get it somewhere.
And if we do, we don't know if we're gonna do one before Thanksgiving. If we do, we'll remind people
Remind
about
everyone,
it.
I
Yes.
won't be here that
I know,
Wednesday,
you're
I
gonna
know.
be
But,
having fun.
I know, you're going to Branson, yay.
Yeah.
It's fun, so, yeah, definitely, because it's,
We will,
we'll
yeah.
have so much fun. Now, I will say, my husband and I went to Dollywood last summer, and the entertainment here, I mean, I like Dollywood okay, but, I liked it okay. Okay, so,
Yeah.
but, I like the entertainment at our event.
It is.
It's 5-star.
Fabulous,
It is, you're not, I mean, they didn't have the I really like Dolly Parton, I don't wanna get there,
Right.
but the entertainment, you can't even compare it to what is at this event.
Really?
These are like I said, there are
Always
symphony
been.
performers and professors at major universities, and then other than that, prodigy students or the major universities bringing their prodigy students down here.
Right.
And then we have our local artists that are very traditionally magnificent, and I
Right.
think they offer a lot to our community, and our community needs to respect them because it's
Absolutely.
part of our culture.
It is.
It really is.
And it's wonderful that they're continuing
Right.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the
We're really
tradition.
lucky.
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
Because Bill and Patty have been doing this for years and years and years. And all of them have
Yes.
Vernon Fleeg and
Yes.
Rosie and
And he's
Sam
good.
Huey, just, they're all really
They're good
magnificent.
people.
So we really
Exactly, yeah.
need to respect them.
Absolutely.
I've got to go.
You
One-
go
one
and you
question.
have a great time.
You
One
have a-
question, are they gonna have the vendors at the Catholic school?
Oh, yes, I did want to bring that up.
Okay.
Not on the program, because this is all about the
Right, this
festival.
is all
But
about-
I do bring things up that are not in the program. And I really think that the fair, the craft fair at the Catholic,
craft fair, the
Valley
Valley,
Catholic
Yeah.
School in the school gymnasium
Okay.
is really wonderful.
It
I think
is.
it's a charming thing. Do not park, in the back of the school from 9 to noon until that parade is over. I
Okay.
mean, just please
Right,
do not,
right.
because we have to line up that
Well,
parade.
they keep the gates closed, don't they?
Yeah,
Gordon?
because
Yeah.
we had some issues, I won't say problems, in the
Right,
past,
issues.
because if you have a car parked right at the,
Right
you gotta
there.
get a
You can't
tractor
get
through, and it's
through.
like
Right.
really hard.
Right.
But I really think that's a wonderful venue.
It is.
It really is. It's very special. You can buy a lot of gifts there.
And they're all handmade.
Everything's
Oh,
handmade.
everything.
And then the Art Guild has a show, and the Sycamore Gallery, they
Oh,
have
they'll have
some
shows.
wonderful artists
And
there.
then we
Okay.
got wonderful shops in town.
Oh,
Yeah,
my gosh,
but the Art
absolutely.
Guild will have actual Christmas
Right,
items, because
exactly.
every year I buy like
And we have
handmade cards and
scholarship.
things,
Yeah,
Oh,
we have a scholarship that we do raffle baskets.
Oh, great, that's
Yeah,
wonderful
yeah.
too.
Not raffle, bidding. You can bid on the basket.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
they do a
and they're
lot too,
great,
so,
And we
Yeah.
do have raffle tickets for our paintings.
yeah, so we have a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
And then I guess Music Art Love at 7 o'clock, she'll have a jazz saxophonist there. It's not in the program, but
Right.
will be there. And of
Okay.
course, everyone, we have wonderful restaurants here.
You can get anything.
It's a great town.
It's a wonderful town. So you can
Right.
go out to eat after the tree trimming.
Right.
Audubon's is doing, it's always something special,
Oh, yeah.
and so it's going to be a wonderful day.
They will.
I've got to
And
go.
thank
I
you
know.
so much.
Don't ask any
We
more.
will not say
I
any
enjoyed
more.
it very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Annette.
Thank
That's
you so
wonderful.
much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thank you,
Glad you
dear.
came,
Thank
Annette.
you. Thank you so much.
See you
Yeah.
later.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye-bye.
Wow, we already
Okay.
have our holidays
Right.
scheduled already. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
And also, we get to maybe take a vacation for Thanksgiving, the
Oh,
day before
yes,
vacation.
yes.
I mean, the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I'm thinking we will not have a show.
Probably, well, I was gonna say, I wouldn't be here because I'll be out of town.
Right. So we'll be
Okay.
back in
December?
December, the first, it's the 10th, I think.
I think it's,
And then we're going to have, actually, the people, two of them from the Lutheran Church are going to be here talking
Oh.
about their
about the
church and about all the history and all that stuff in it.
That's
So
exciting to hear.
that'll be
I'm really
great. That'll
glad
be
to
our
hear that.
show in December,
Yeah.
so, on the 10th.
Yes.
And then the Christmas, we'll probably not do the second show in
second show,
December. So
yeah.
there'll be one in November and one in
one in-
December.
And if there's
So-
anybody out there that knows of anybody that's got anything going on, any new businesses or anything that's coming up
Any
in your
activity, yeah.
organizations, please let one of us know or let the city hall know. That way we can get you on and let you talk about what's going on in St.
Yeah,
Genevieve.
and it's not a bit intimidating.
Oh,
It's-
absolutely.
It's,
Look,
it's just like sitting at your kitchen table
Absolutely.
talking.
You,
Yeah.
you don't know you're on television, you're just sitting there talking to those people, and
Right.
it's exciting,
So thank you whoever watched tonight, and also Charlie said we're live on YouTube now, so we can check that out and
Oh,
see if
okay.
everything's
Good.
working great. And so we'll
Sounds
say
good.
good night.
Good
And thank you
night.
for tuning in.
Thank
All right.
you.